December 2nd, 1941. Red Square lies just 24 kilometers behind Soviet Marshal Georgy Zhukov as he stares through his field glasses. German artillery shells whistle overhead. The Wehrmacht has reached Khimki. Moscow's northern suburbs are burning. For the first time in Russian history, a foreign army stands within walking distance of the Kremlin walls. Inside the underground command bunkers beneath Moscow, Stalin's war council faces an impossible reality. General Vasily Sokolovsky's voice cracks as he delivers the morning briefing. Comrade Stalin, German reconnaissance units have been spotted at the tram station in Khimki. They are 6 kilometers from Red Square. The room falls silent. Through concrete walls 3 stories underground, they can hear the distant rumble of Panzer engines. Stalin's thick Georgian accent cuts through the tension. How did we arrive at this moment, comrades? The answer lies in the catastrophic miscalculations of Operation Barbarossa's opening months. When Hitler launched his invasion of the Soviet Union on June 22, 1941, Soviet forces numbered over 5 million men. By December, 3 million had been killed, wounded, or captured. Entire army groups had simply vanished from the battlefield. Marshal Semyon Timoshenko remembers the desperate phone calls from the front. "They're everywhere," screamed Colonel General Dmitry Pavlov before his Fourth Army disintegrated near Minsk. Tanks, hundreds of tanks. Within days, 300,000 Soviet soldiers were marching into German captivity. Pavlov himself would face Stalin's firing squad within weeks. Now, 6 months later, the survivors of that carnage find themselves in Moscow's underground command center, watching their capital city prepare for siege. General Ivan Fedyuninsky paces the war room's perimeter. His 32nd Army holds the northern approaches to Moscow. Yesterday, German soldiers captured the town of Krasnaya Polyana, close enough to see the Kremlin's golden domes with binoculars. His men are freezing in inadequate winter uniforms. Many lack proper boots. They're fighting with rifles that jam in the sub-zero temperatures. "We cannot hold," Fedyuninsky whispers to Marshal Zhukov. "The men are dying from cold faster than German bullets." Zhukov's face remains stone. As the newly appointed commander of the Western Front, he knows what others refuse to acknowledge. Moscow may fall. The Soviet Union may cease to exist, but he will not be the general who tells Stalin these truths. Instead, he studies the tactical maps spread across the command table. Red arrows mark Soviet positions. Black arrows show German advances. There are far too many black arrows. General Heinz Guderian's 2nd Panzer Army has crushed Soviet defenses south of the capital. His tanks have advanced 400 kilometers in just 2 weeks, leaving a trail of burning Soviet vehicles stretching back to Oral. To the north, General Erich Höppner's 4th Panzer Group has smashed through 3 successive defensive lines. German soldiers are now close enough to Moscow to receive local radio broadcasts. In the Kremlin, Stalin secretaries burn documents in metal trash cans. The smoke drifts through hallways where Lenin once walked. Government ministries have relocated to Kuybyshev, over 800 kilometers east. Most foreign diplomats have fled. The Moscow metro has transformed into an underground city of refugees. Yet Stalin remains. "Tell me about our reserves," he demands. General Alexander Vasilevsky unfolds classified mobilization reports. "We have 3 armies forming in the rear. Siberian divisions, veterans from the fighting against Japan in the Far East, but they won't arrive for another week." A week. 7 days during which German forces could capture Red Square, raise the swastika over the Kremlin, and declare the Soviet Union defeated. Outside, temperatures plummet to -30 degrees Celsius. German soldiers, equipped for a swift summer campaign, huddle around burning vehicles for warmth. Their oil freezes, their weapons malfunction. Many develop frostbite within hours of exposure, but they keep advancing. Soviet intelligence reports create a terrifying picture. Army Group Center commands over 70 divisions. Nearly 1 million German, Hungarian and Romanian soldiers are converging on Moscow. They have 14,000 artillery pieces and 1,000 tanks. German reconnaissance planes circle the Kremlin daily, photographing defensive positions. Marshal Kliment Voroshilov, one of Stalin's oldest allies, speaks the unthinkable. Perhaps we should consider evacuating Moscow. Continue resistance from beyond the Urals. Stalin's dark eyes fix on Voroshilov. No one evacuates Moscow. We fight here. We die here if necessary. The room's tension becomes suffocating. General Lelyushenko, whose 16th Army guards the western approaches, brings updates from the front lines. His men are eating leather and tree bark. Soviet T-34 tanks sit abandoned, their fuel frozen solid. German Stuka dive bombers attack in waves, their screaming engines terrorizing Soviet infantry hiding in snow-covered foxholes. "My boys are holding," Lelyushenko reports, but barely. Zhukov examines aerial reconnaissance photographs. German positions form a vast semicircle around Moscow's western and northern suburbs. In the south, Guderian's panzers have advanced to within 30 kilometers of the capital. Soviet defensive lines resemble a broken chain, held together by desperate courage and Communist Party commissars who execute deserters on sight. The Wehrmacht's advance has created a refugee crisis of unprecedented scale. Over 2 million civilians clog the roads leading east from Moscow. Families push handcarts loaded with possessions through knee-deep snow. Children freeze to death in their mothers' arms. Soviet authorities have lost control of vast areas around the capital. Yet something unexpected begins to happen. Reports arrive from military districts across Siberia. New divisions are boarding, trains. Mongolian cavalry units ride toward the front. Factory workers in relocated industrial cities volunteer for combat duty. The Soviet Union's vast geographical depth, long considered a weakness, becomes a source of strength. Stalin receives a decoded intelligence report from Soviet spy Richard Sorg in Tokyo. Japan will not attack the Soviet Union's eastern borders. This means 18 divisions stationed against Japanese forces in the Far East can be transferred west. Fresh troops, experienced soldiers, men who know how to fight in winter conditions. General Konstantin Rokossovsky's 16th Army receives reinforcements from the 78th Siberian Rifle Division. These soldiers arrive wearing quilted jackets and felt boots. They carry automatic weapons designed for Arctic warfare. Most importantly, they have not spent 6 months retreating from an unstoppable enemy. For the first time in months, Soviet commanders sense possibility rather than despair. The temperature drops further, -40 degrees. German supply lines stretched across 1,000 kilometers of hostile territory begin to snap. Trains carrying fuel and ammunition cannot operate in the extreme cold. German soldiers develop hypothermia faster than they can be evacuated. Meanwhile, Soviet factories relocated beyond the Urals increase production. Tank manufacturing rises 300% compared to pre-war levels. New aircraft roll off assembly lines daily. The Soviet war machine, nearly destroyed in the summer, begins to regenerate. In the command bunker, Stalin's demeanor shifts subtly. His questions become more aggressive. When do we counterattack? Zhukov has been preparing for this moment. Soon, Comrade Stalin. Very soon. December 6, 1941. After 140 days of continuous retreat, Soviet forces launch a massive winter counteroffensive. 6 armies attack simultaneously along a 200-kilometer front. Siberian ski troops emerge from snow-covered forests like ghosts, striking German positions before vanishing into the wilderness. The German advance on Moscow stops, then reverses. Within 2 weeks, Wehrmacht forces retreat over 200 kilometers. The myth of German invincibility shatters in the Russian snow. Hitler's dreams of swift victory dissolve into a nightmare of winter warfare that will consume 3 more years and cost millions of lives. Standing in Red Square on December the 20th, Marshal Zhukov watches German prisoners march through the streets where Hitler planned to hold his victory parade. The Soviet Union has survived its darkest hour, but the war is far from over. The real battle for Moscow was never about capturing buildings or raising flags. It was about breaking the will of the Soviet people. In that crucial test, Stalin's commanders discovered something neither they nor their enemies expected. The Russian winter was never Moscow's true defender. It was the unbreakable spirit of those who refused to surrender their homeland